You're listening to The Burning Truth. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, dude and dudettes. I am one of the hosts of The Burning Truth. I am Matt Burns, and of course with me, I've got John Below with me. JB, how's everything going?
Hi, I must therefore be the other host of The Burning Truth. Hi, everything's great. How are you?
That is, it's the duo for The Burning Truth, and I can also say, glad to be back. And let's just say this is going to be a bit of a different episode than usual, ladies and gentlemen. Didn't do that.
Yeah.
It's basically going to be a more in-depth look episode instead of our usual weekly wrestling.
Yeah, it's not going to be so much as a sort of covering what's happened. It's more a sort of in-depth chat about one specific thing.
Pretty much. So we're going to deep dive into different topics on certain episodes. So we're not going to be doing the whole weekly episode, every week we're covering the week. Because we don't we don't want to be news chasing, do we?
No. So yeah, this is one of a few that we'll do every now and again that'll just be sort of, as we say, an in-depth discussion about one particular topic, which may, as time moves on, possibly not even be wrestling related, but to start with at least, they will be.
Oh, shut the thought.
But to start with at least, like this one, they will be.
Correct. But, as we have probably said on, past episodes, we could be bringing newer stuff to The Burning Truth.
Well, we could be making the Burning Truth refreshed and more interesting, shall we say.
Basically adding new embers onto the fire.
Chucking a few new logs in, absolutely.
Why not? But anyway, for this week's episode, we're basically going to be discussing some of the unique storylines that have been showcased throughout wrestling history.
Better or for worse.
Could have been better.
Largely those ones that people who were watching them afterwards, if 5 million people watched it, 4.9 million will have sat down and gone, well, if they'd done this, this and this, they could have done that better.
But
basically,
then again,
we're discussing angles that, for whatever reason, didn't attain their full potential.
Correct, and there will be the odd angle where we'll even state, no matter what was done, it should have been avoided.
Terrible, and they shouldn't have done it. I think we will be delving across a lot of wrestling here, like the history of not just WWE, because I've just thought of a couple of examples, one each from WCW and ECW, which we can cover. So, there you go.
Here we go. And
right.
just so you know, this could be a topic. This isn't a one and done topic potentially, because there's that much talk. There's that much that we can discuss. This might actually be a returning topic.
We may end up doing more than one show on this, especially if you guys get in touch on the social media and you massively disagree with us, or suggest others that we might have missed, which we might have to go back to in potentially part 2 or 3 or however long this goes.
Correct. And possibly in regards to this as well, is the fact that it may not be just because the people may have searched it. It might have been that we will go away and come back and think, whoa, why didn't I think of that storyline? Why didn't I think of that? But at the same time, let us just state this, for a matter of fact, these are just opinions.
These are the opinions of the Burning Truth, collectively, being myself, John Bloor, and him, Matt Burns.
Yep, that would be me.
They are the opinions of nobody else. We do not represent anyone else, and therefore, it's just us having a bit of fun discussing the sort of wrestle crap end of the wrestling spectrum that we can't quite believe we saw.
And possibly discussing some of the botch segments of storylines.
Absolutely. So,
well, in case anybody wants to know who we're referencing, you're welcome, Matthew.
Yep, and indeed, you're welcome, RD of WrestleCrap. This was kind of inspired by both of you, so cheers.
Pretty much. We're trying to look on some of the lighter side of things.
This show is not officially endorsed by WrestleCrap.com or Botchamania. However, if they'd like to, checks made payable to the Burning Truth. Cheers, guys.
Or if better yet, if you want to be on the show, you'd be more than welcome to.
Absolutely. Ooh, wouldn't that be fun?
That would be interesting. That would be interesting. But anyway, let's just get into it. Is there any storylines that stands out in your mind just from the get-go that you think were...
Yeah, there are 3 or 4, but I think the one we should start with might be the one I mentioned to you before we started. The granddaddy of them all that could have been the eternal money-spinning, possibly stretched out for as much as 3 years, judging by the depth of talent on both sides. Cluster one of them. That was the invasion angle.
Oh.
As it was over and done in about 7 months, and by the end of that, most of the people involved were like, oh, thank God for that.
It's over.
Yeah. So let's just set a bit of background here. What I'm referring to is on WWE television, WWF as it was then, storyline that originally started off as Shane McMahon, what's the word when it's a house? Gazumping his dad, Vince, and buying WCW from under his nose. With the intention...
Do you make this worse?
What?
Do you know what makes this really, really worse?
Go on.
Is the fact that the invasion angle actually occurred due to a sudden change in the writing because the story wasn't going in the direction that they wanted?
Essentially, yes. To cut to the chase, Shane bought WCW instead of Vince and set it up, intending to set it up as a rival because WWE even then had 2 shows, Raw and SmackDown.
Correct.
And so I think the intention was to turn Raw into WCW Raw and have WWE SmackDown and have them as rivals. However, even before it got going, a WCW Championship match on Monday Night Raw between Buff Bagwell and Booker T.
Was it on Raw or SmackDown?
I believe it was on Raw, but you're welcome to get in touch and correct me if I'm wrong about that. Basically, however it was broadcast, it was booed out of the building, and that so basically put a kibosh on the plans.
Yeah, and supposedly originally there was talks of considering having Shane be heroic in the whole feud originally, but they decided that with it not working out, the whole idea, they decided to switch it and make WWE more of the we're the good guys.
Yes. So it got off to a bad start.
Mm-hmm.
It only got worse when most of the main WCW roster took one look at the whole thing and went, actually turn up for work or sit on our asses and collect our AOL Time Warner guaranteed contracts for the next 3 years.
Oops.
Sorry, Vince, we're staying at home.
Yeah.
And as a result, very much the WCW B squad were the ones who took part in it. No disrespect to any of the guys like Booker T.
Yep.
Or any of the guys who became WCW guys for the sake of Invasion who had actually been in WWE for a fair while anyway.
Yep.
But, you know what I mean? There was no Scott Steiner. There was no Sting. I don't think Ric Flair was directly involved. You know, most Diamond Dallas Page was, but I think he was
Flair came in after.
Yeah.
Just after.
I think DDP was the most high profile, and Booker T. WCW guys. Quite a lot of them. Like I said, Scott Steiner.
No,
Kevin
they
Nash,
were the
Scott
WCW guys.
quite a lot of the NWO guys had nothing to do with it, you know.
That was the WCW guys, and that was what it was at the time. But then the ramped up the escalation by including ECW.
Owned by... Wait, no. Not owned by Paul Heyman. Owned by Stephanie McMahon. Because this is WWE. Everything has to be about that family.
Right.
Even when it isn't.
Stop where you are. Let me just put a kibosh right now. Here's a massive mess up that they made.
What?
As believable as they can say, Shane buying out WCW. Yes. The way they did the angle was very, very smart.
It helped that he appeared on the last episode of Nitro. It gave it an aura of believability, yes.
It was more of a, oh, good Lord, how did that happen?
Yes, whereas the shoehorning in of ECW was appreciated by the fans.
It was needed. It was
needed
for the shoehorn for ECW to be in. The issue I had with it was you've got Paul Heyman there,
and yet Stephanie's in charge. Yes, I'm well aware. That was a botch before it also became apparent that all the ECW guys, Rob Van Dam, Taz, the Dudleys, etc., were already long-standing WWE guys anyway. Who
it would have looked so much more.
Company they'd left anything up to 5 years ago.
Yeah, it would have looked so much better. Heyman trying to rein in the ECW boys, and supposedly using the making jokes of the so-called Paul Heyman Kool-Aid.
Yes, absolutely, it would have looked better. And it would have looked better if they'd managed to tempt at least one top-tier WCW guy. I mean, either that or, I don't know, given Diamond Dallas Page the role and actually not made him into a joke by having him... What was it they had him do? Stalk The Undertaker's wife?
No. Oh, my God.
Yeah, dreadful. Yeah. Giving him the actual top... Instead of that...
Yeah.
The top WCW guy was a paid off with Vince McMahon, Stone Cold Steve Austin. WWE through and through. And that was another nail in the coffin before the actual thing had even got particularly started.
I think what made it worse is they didn't let WWE let their ego show a lot. And with the so-called... The ECW guys could get the odd win. The technically B-show guys of WCW weren't getting many wins, were they?
They really weren't. And the worst part about it was, I think they decided they had to have even sides, and therefore Austin had to defect.
No, so effectively...
He, at the time, was WWE champion, so he had to defect over to the WCW side. Again, backing within, 3 weeks of the angle beginning, Booker T lost the WCW Championship to The Rock, that well-known WCW superstar. So, with both titles in the hands of established, to-the-bone WWE guys, something had to give.
Yeah.
So they put a sticking plaster over a shotgun wound and had Stone effect. I mean, it worked. It just was, you could tell the angle was already losing blood, and it went long for this world.
Losing a little bit of blood.
Yes. And things just basically slowly went downhill from there as WWE suffered from the problem that has beset many wrestling companies when booking invasion angles in the past, which was they didn't let their opponents look strong, and it was one-sided. Actually, they let some of the ECW guys look a bit strong, but most of the former WCW guys were really booked as anything more than there to make the WWE guys look superior, and at least in Italy, you can't have that.
Yeah, that was one of the major issues, the fact that they always coming off winning. We're looking good, we're looking good, we're looking good. And then it was like, to make them more credible, you had to have WWE guys jump across.
If it wasn't for the fact Stone Cold,
we do apologise for this. Unfortunately,
in about 3 weeks.
We do apologise for this. We seem to be having it in my technical difficulty. We do apologise. We are having
Can you hear me?
we can hear. It's just there's a bit of an echo from time to time. It's like a bit of a conflict of with the audio. We do
I'm not
apologise for
sure
the.
why that is. I do apologise.
No, it's quite alright. I don't think it's on your. It might be to do with the some of the software that we're technically trying out for the first time.
It could well be that. Well, anyway, apologies if it is on my end. It's not deliberate, but yeah. Right, are we back now?
We're back.
Have we come out the other side of the tunnel?
We're back. It seems to be the case.
Was I? Oh, yes. Yeah, the fact that Stone Cold defected basically meant that the angle had a few more minutes of life in it, because otherwise it would have been dead before the end of the first month.
Pretty much. Which then becomes a bit of a issue with the fact that you're having to defect WWE wrestlers into the Alliance.
Oh, the Alliance, the combined name of WCW and ECW. The only good thing that came out of it, I believe, was the Survivor Series 5-on-5 elimination match, Team Alliance versus Team WWF, even if I believe 9 of the 10 guys died in the World WWE guys, and Booker T was tacked on there for good measure. I seem to recall that Team Alliance was the Dudleys, RVD, Booker T, and Stone Cold. And Team WWF was, I can't remember, The Undertaker, The Rock,
Kane,
and possibly a couple of others. I can't remember who they were, but just about the best thing that came
Chris
out
Jericho.
of the whole shambles. Chris Jericho, yeah. Just about the best thing that came out of the whole shambles, and we need to wrap this up and move on, because we do want to talk about more than one. As much of a colossal cluster as this was, there are plenty of others. But just about the best thing that came out of the whole thing was The Rock's promo prior to the Survivor Series elimination match.
Oh.
Hang on, no, it wasn't The Rock's promo. My mistake. It was Vince McMahon's promo and The Rock's. I'm not sure what he's on, but I want some reaction where for the entire 5 minutes of Vince talking, he was jumping up and down like he was at a rave.
Yeah.
That performance simply has to be seen to be believed. So if you can go back on the WWE Network and watch Survivor Series 2001, that performance defies belief.
Yeah.
In this day,
interesting.
He would have got The Rock his first strike on the wellness policy. Let's put it that way.
Nowadays, from the way he looks, I got what you were implying.
Yes.
Right.
So that pretty much wraps up that. I mean,
well, it
that's
doesn't
a
exactly wrap it up.
history.
Let me just point some things out.
Yeah,
one, they should, as we said, pointed out, should let some of the actual original so-called WCW guys get some wins. Secondly, do take into account it was an alternative storyline that they ended up rushing into because the original plan didn't work.
Yeah, but if they'd given it a bit of time and let WCW Raw happen, paid a bit of money to get the guys like Scott Steiner and Goldberg, who stayed at home, on board and actually had them as a legitimate threat, or if the separate brands didn't work, just have the WCW guys make the WWE guys' lives a nightmare, and for the first at least 5 or 6 months continually get the upper hand, then it could have lasted for a good 18 months, 2 years.
Pretty much.
And then because at the 6 month mark, when WWE was starting to find a way to get their own back against WCW again, then you bring ECW in. Having gradually but surely just had progressively over the 6 months more and more ECW mainstays like disappear off TV or quit whilst they're on air, and obviously anyone who's got a brain who's a smart wrestling fan will have gone, I think I know what's going to happen here, but it still would have been a hell of a pop when it did happen.
Yeah.
Plus, the massively weakened WWE roster, because of all the ECW guys dropping into the background, could have been used as an explanation by Vince for why they were losing all the time. So then when ECW popped up as well, and they had an actual three-way fight, well, it could have lasted for, like I say, 1.5 years, 2 years, and if they'd been allowed by Vince, they could have portrayed WWE as in genuine peril. But they didn't, so it was rushed and it was ruined, and as good as the Survivor Series 10-man elimination tag match was, we
Yeah.
all knew what the outcome was going to be before we even started, so it was kind of a little bit of an anticlimax.
A little bit. And the scary thing about it is, we've seen all the fantasy bookings from other bookers and everything from the, your kayfabe interviews and everything, your Jim Cornette's, bookings, everything up and down the road, your Vince Russo bookings.
And while pretty much everyone who's weighed in on it had a different idea of how they would have done it, pretty much the only one thing that they all had in common was they wouldn't have done anything that WWE actually did.
True, but at the same time, they've got one advantage over WWE.
And what was that?
They've got hindsight.
Well, there is that. Yes, isn't it a wonderful thing?
Yeah, they get to look back and say, must avoid that.
Yes. Which is kind of why I'm quite glad TNA, Impact Wrestling, are still going. And Vince didn't buy them, and they didn't try. Having seen the attempted relaunching of the Monday Night Wars and what a farce that was with TNA, can you imagine how spectacularly awful New Invasion would have been?
A week
Tops. It would have literally been everyone charging into the ring from Impact, the WWE locker room emptying, and then they'd have literally had a camera at every security door out of the arena as one WWE guy threw one TNA guy out and shut it behind them, and that would have been that.
Yeah.
So I'm quite glad TNA is still going, so that didn't happen. Because, of course, as well as that, they may become legit challengers again in the future.
They could do, because they seem
stranger things have happened.
They have been getting the products quite interesting lately.
Yes.
But we digress. The thing is, they haven't folded, they're still going, and you have to give them credit for that. Massive credit for it.
Massive credit.
But anyway, we digress. That's one storyline to avoid.
Yes. Right, that was my first suggestion. So, to counter that, what's yours?
That could have been done better.
Yes.
It's a shame at a WrestleMania.
Yeah.
There was a feud at one WrestleMania. I can't remember which one it was. I just remember it being so god awful
that after the event, all you were left with was a slightly numb, hollow feeling of what have I just witnessed?
Pretty much, and it's not the one that you think it is.
It's not the one that I mentioned before we went on air.
No, it's not.
Okay,
it's not.
Is
it
it
is
from
fitting.
An Attitude Era or after WrestleMania, or is it from before then? So basically, is it from WrestleMania 16 or before, or WrestleMania
It's after
16
the invasion.
or afterwards? Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah,
Go on,
after
put us
the
out of our
invasion.
misery. What is it?
It was Edge versus Booker T.
I think I know the one you're talking about. I don't know if you want me to do the giveaway at the reveal of what the whole thing was about, or you want to do that. But
I'll build
know
up to it.
Okay, yeah. I think I know the one you mean, and I think I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
Anyway, give the background. And
WrestleMania, the showcase of showcases, the showcase of immortals, the big time, the big league
of them all.
And you have Booker T versus Edge in regards to a shampoo commercial.
And not just any shampoo commercial either. A shampoo commercial that will only be shown on Japanese television. Yeah.
And it makes it worse.
What?
This was like we said with the invasion angle, an angle that was changed from the original plan.
Yes, the original plan, shy of it involving actual live televised murder, would have probably been infinitely better. What was the original plan?
Hair versus hair.
You see? What was wrong with that?
The reason
Which
why is
one
because
of the participants involved refused that perfectly sensible suggestion and basically got what they deserved.
Basically, I think the person who what ended up happening is Edge and Booker T was like, at first they're like, yeah, it might work, but then when one of them actually realised that one of them would have to have their hair cut. And Edge would have been in one, or surviving one.
As everyone knows from wrestling, from Kurt Angle to The Big Show to Baron Corbin to Mark Henry, when a wrestler gets his hair cut, it never grows back.
Yeah, that's actually quite true. I can vouch for that because I believe that even on the British scene, we had a hair versus hair at a United show on Perry Mason, and he hasn't quite grew his hair back yet.
Yeah, I also believe that Johnny Storm, his hair never came back.
No, his hair never came back.
Yeah,
and people have been asking me to do a hair versus hair. No, change the plan.
Oddly, if Matt Burns ever did a hair versus hair match, you could make a mattress with what happened were he to lose. But sadly, he likes his hair too much, and that's never going to happen. Yeah. There is more chance of the actual Japanese shampoo commercial finding its way onto the internet. Spoiler, folks, it was never made.
It was never made. And what made it worse, and I mean, this is what made it really, really bad, is the fact that this was for WrestleMania.
Yeah, it's not like this was sort of opening match fodder on, New Year's Revolution or something. That, a not Big Four pay-per-view. This isn't even a Big Four pay-per-view. This is the granddaddy of them all. This is the one where you actually want people to be putting in more than 3 seconds worth of thought about how the match is going to go.
Yep.
And unfortunately, there was no Molly Holly in this situation.
Oh.
There was no one brave enough to go, shave my head, I don't care.
Yeah. Oh dear.
So, we got Japanese shampoo commercials, and it was atrocious.
Yeah.
Seguing nicely into, if you finished, into the next one, which was also at WrestleMania. It was a match between two colossal heavyweights at the peak of their game, and it should have been on a par with work rate and huge impact-wise, like anything you've seen from NXT in the last 5 years.
Oh, good Lord.
Instead, what we got was two big blokes in black trunks staring at each other, and special guest referee Steve Austin stood in the middle of the ring for 10 minutes going, are you going to bloody do something, or can I go to the bar? It's telling that most of the crowd were chanting really rather horrible things at both participants, as they were both due to leave shortly after WrestleMania, and the loudest reaction for the whole match was when Stone Cold stunned each one of them in turn after the bell had rung.
Oh dear.
I am, of course, talking, for those that haven't twigged that I haven't mentioned it yet, about Goldberg against Brock Lesnar the first time from WrestleMania 20.
It didn't happen.
Sorry to disappoint you, but
it never happened.
No, this is not Royal Rumble 2004. It genuinely happened. It cannot be airbrushed from
as much as I'd love to state it never happened. We've got to cover it.
Yes. It was dreadful.
Yeah.
Like I say, there's a way to do matches with two big men, and it largely involves both of them beating the ever-loving snot out of each other.
You mean
for
a bit
about
like
10 minutes?
You mean a bit like when they encountered each other the second time?
Yeah, kind of like a sort of, I think, the match that Goldberg and Scott Steiner had in WCW, which was like new levels of brutality for the time.
Pretty much.
Much. But no, they just basically refused to engage for 10 minutes, during which the crowd acted more and more like they were being forced to sit through a Flow Rider performance.
You both suck. Oh. Now, let me just state this. Let me just state, Oh my god! I did not expect that one.
Well, there you go.
I take it you don't like Flow Rider.
I'm sure plenty of people do, but personally, he is the Adam Cole of musicians for me.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Namely, I'm sure
alright.
he's very good at what he does, and he has a fine and devoted fan base, but leaves me completely cold.
Yeah, pretty much. It looks like we almost had interactions then. Somebody almost joining in then for a minute.
Really?
Yeah, because yes, ladies and gentlemen, just to point out, we are at different locations, and we are using the power of the internet to get stuff done.
Oh, I see. Somebody nearly came in at your end, did they?
Yeah.
Well, I've already had an interference. My cat wandered in once.
No, it's quite all right. It's quite all right. The thing is, it's expected, and we can't we can't help inclusions. So I almost invited him to be a special guest, but never mind. We'll continue on.
We'll gloss over it, yes. So, yeah, that's that. It was dreadful. And again, in the theme of WrestleMania matches that were just like, this could have been on any B show or free TV. Why is this taking up airtime on the grandest stage of them all? We need to move on to your next suggestion.
No. Let me put my 2 cents in.
Oh, about Goldberg Lesnar. Yeah, go for it.
Right. Personally, if they're going to be if one of them was leaving, yeah, do the angle. With both of them leaving, they should have been far apart from each other.
I completely agree. It should have been a case of, well, you're both leaving, so why reward you with a big payday? Seriously, just like...
No. What I mean is, why didn't they give the matches that instead of them against each other, they have against somebody else and give them
against each other? Yeah, give both of them a match against someone else at WrestleMania. Have both of them do the traditional decent thing and lie on their backs on the way out, and not subject us to that.
Yeah,
15 minutes of our life that we'll never get back.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yes.
You got the gist of it.
I agree with you entirely. And on that note, right, what's your next suggestion? Because I've got a couple more and I can keep going. I'm warming to the theme quite well here. But I suggest you've got one, so...
I have got one, and it makes it even worse.
Go on.
It's another WrestleMania.
Well, since we're talking about WrestleMania, we may as well continue the theme. Go on, what is it?
And this one is a doozy.
I think the one I'm going to use afterwards might match it, but that remains to be seen. First of all, what is the doozy?
This one came off absolutely massively wrong.
Is it Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 9?
Nope.
Winning the title after the end of the sanctioned title match to the applause of absolutely nobody?
This is when...
That gets an honourable mention in that
This
case.
is when they had a moment to create somebody that was not officially started or created by WWE and turn him into a major WWE superstar.
And in typical WWE fashion, did the penalty kick land in the second tier of the stand behind the goal? With snow on it.
We are talking Golden Shovel came out.
Wow. Are we talking -5 stars, Botchamania special, anti-match of the year?
We are talking... Now, what makes it so good, what made it weird, is this could have been a crowning achievement, only if the result went the other way.
I see. And it's a WrestleMania moment.
It's a WrestleMania match.
So it's not the Shockmaster falling on his face when he came through the wall in WCW.
No! I still want that there. I don't care. That needs to stay in history.
Absolutely, that needs to stay there as a reminder to, thorough planning on something.
Yeah, pretty much. But anyway.
And if you're going to stick glitter on a Star Trooper mask, that's fine, but give the poor sod eye holes in it so we can see the wall he's stepping through.
It wasn't the wall that it wasn't the wall that was the issue. It was the fact that someone clogged a bit of a stepping thing that he had to step over, and unfortunately he clipped his foot on it.
Yes,
anyway,
and They had to retool the whole gimmick that he was a clumsy idiot because you can't make a second first impression.
no, especially when you've got British Bulldog saying he fell on his ass. But anyway,
yes,
we'll save that topic for another day.
Indeed.
Most likely,
that could probably have a whole episode to itself. But anyway, your third in the sequence of WrestleMania moments that were like, why is this on the biggest show of the year?
Are you ready for this?
Well,
I feel sorry for this because this person has been mentioned twice.
This is the second mention for this person already in this show. Okay, wow.
But
yeah, go on.
The case is, he didn't make a mess of it. It was the storyline should have gone in
that he was given.
It should have gone in his direction. I think personally, but they didn't.
I see. Right. Would you like to clue me
They
as to exactly what you mean?
They eventually did get to the main stage of WWE, which is Booker T.
I see.
And the storyline in question
is
against Triple H.
Oh, was this the one that was used for about the next 10 years afterwards by anyone who ever hated Triple H as the citing factor in how he buried everybody?
One of them, yeah. Massively.
Yeah.
Massively. And it was... The angle that ended up coming across is, at the time, it may have come across of, well, you're not good enough. You're a WCW guy. You know, you're not good enough to be on my level. That's what they were probably thinking. The tone how it came across was
basically, I'm going to squash you because I can and sod you.
No, it wasn't just that. It came across as a little bit racist.
Do you know? Until you said that, I've never thought about it like that, but it totally does.
Especially
that casts it in a whole new light of negativity for me because I've never seen that before. But thinking back about it now, yeah, it totally was. Unintentionally, I'm sure, but yeah, it was a little bit.
It did, but it was some of the sayings that was like, it's like, and the way Booker T's face expressions it was almost like it was second implying it almost. It was like they could have had a really crowning achievement moment if they had Booker T come out on top.
Yes, they absolutely could, but they chose not to. Just as an aside,
yeah,
was it Booker T or was it Rob Van Dam? I hope it was Rob Van Dam, otherwise that's a hat trick in this show for poor Booker, who took a pedigree from Triple H in the Royal Rumble, stood up again, staggered to the ropes, fell over the top rope and eliminated himself.
I think it might have been... I'm not sure.
Because whoever it was, that's on a par with Santino saluting after he got stunned for, that didn't happen, tell me that didn't just happen, levels of stupid idiocy that should have been edited out.
Yeah. Not sure, but...
anyway, the burial of Booker T.
However, a pedigree to Booker T or it made it even worse at WrestleMania for what happened.
Yes.
If anybody has seen that match, Booker T versus Triple H. Now, if Booker T got that win, it was building up to it. Building up. People were clawing at Booker T to get the win.
Yeah.
I remember watching this and thinking to myself, he's got to win it. He's got to win it because of the storyline. He's got to.
Oh.
And then Triple H.
Shit.
Won.
He hasn't. Yeah.
It's like...
I seem to recall as well, it was back in the sort of aftermath of the Attitude Era. And so didn't Triple H kick out of at least 2 bookends before pinning Booker T clean with 1 pedigree?
No, it wasn't. I'm not sure if it was 1 pedigree. I think the fact that the pedigree took about 5 minutes before he pinned him.
Yeah, and I'm fairly sure he only hit one as well, whereas Booker hit.
I think it might
his
have been
finisher
one.
at least twice.
It was the fact that Triple H nails him with the pedigree,
Yeah.
and he has to crawl over ever so slowly to get the pen.
Yeah.
Put his arm on him, and 9 out of 10 times when this angle happens, everybody kicks out last second.
At 2 9/10 every single time.
And Booker T didn't move.
Booker T just lay there like he was
Out.
too embarrassed to carry on any further.
And
Which, to be honest, he may have been.
And I was thinking to myself, oh my God, has this really just happened? It was just diabolical. Especially with the tone of the feud that they had. It came across massively wrong, and I'm pretty sure that WWE ended up with massive flack for it.
No doubt.
However, they did end up, getting that all sorted out and making sure everything was tickety-boo.
Yes.
And yes, Booker T did eventually get onto greatness with WWE and even debuted the King Booker gimmick.
Character who was immense fun.
Oh, massively.
Yes.
Massively. And it was just fun, that was it at that time. But yeah. I feel sorry a little bit because we mentioned Booker T twice.
Yeah, it's bad, but neither case was really directly his fault, was it? It was simply
one of them could have been, depending on if he was the person who was going to be originally losing the hair versus hair match. And they would have negated that, which is fair enough. But shampoo commercial? Writers, come on. Do better.
I know exactly what you mean. Right. Is that pretty much it for that one?
That's it for that one.
Because I've got another doozy.
Go on.
In fact, I'm thinking about saving this one because I'm looking at the clock and looking at time, and this is an episode which we're going to try and keep short and not go for 2.5 hours. And this one might need to be the last one because we might talk about it that much.
Well, let's see.
But it was in WCW, and I can describe it using 3 words.
Go on.
Finger poke of doom.
Oh, good Lord.
For those of you not in the know, this was I believe late 99, early 2000 WCW television event on Nitro, during which the WCW World Championship, which by this point was essentially a useless prop, changed hands between Kevin Nash and Hulk Hogan in possibly... Unfortunately, the way WCW ended, he wasn't even in the top 10 of most damaging ways. But at the time,
actually, this was no.
Tailspin, I don't think they ever recovered from.
Are you ready for this?
Go on.
This was actually This is how bad this angle was. This actually could have been resulted in the turnaround for WWE getting the win over WCW.
Yeah, it is wildly credited as
Do you know why?
Being the factor that got WWE back on top in the ratings war.
It's one of them. It's one of them. Do you know what night that was?
I do, because it has been alluded to many times in people's reviews of it. It was the night that a certain event happened on WWF television.
Or WWE?
In WWE television. I think it was still WWF back then, but yes.
It was then, but it's going to be now.
Which was such a fan favourite moment that when instructed to spoil it by telling people what was happening, the commentary team did so, and more than 500,000 viewers switched sides, most of which never came back to Nitro.
Oops!
Oopsie.
Oh dear.
So yeah, while Hulk Hogan was winning the WCW title for the 47th time by poking Kevin Nash lightly in the chest, Mick Foley was winning the WWF Championship.
Yeah.
Cementing years of hard work and doing it. And I say, Tony Schiavone apparently didn't want to spoil it on commentary. but did as he was told, and
He did.
I believe the phrase was, "That's going to put bums on seats."
No,
Which,
that's going to put a lot of butts in the seats.
Yeah.
And then proceeded to state, and then proceeded to state that he was going to, then proceeded to state, we've got a big main event tonight of Hulk Hogan versus Kevin Nash for the title.
Yes, but north of 600,000 people didn't hear him say that because they'd already changed the channel to put Raw on. And as I say, the vast majority never went back to Nitro, and that was possibly the start of the decline.
And what makes it worse? Even the one, there were some that switched back, but the fact is, they WCW was running a little bit longer. They basically WWE managed to put on Mick Foley winning the title on and win the match, and people go down, he's won the match, great, let's switch back. Click, finger poke of doom. I'm out.
Yeah, basically, either that happened or they didn't switch back and they were told about what happened at WCW the next day, at which point they went,
I'm glad I didn't switch back.
Really? Well, I'm quite glad I missed that, and frankly, I know which side I'm watching from now on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was dreadful.
Oh, that was awful. That was
it was mired in so many such rapid, awful decisions that WCW were pumping out on an almost weekly basis back then that,
Yeah.
Even with that in mind, however, boy, does that stand out,
Yeah, it does. It's the finger poke of doom, which pretty much what it was. Technically, it's quite aptly named Finger Poke of Doom. We just put the Doom in WCW though.
Yes, it literally could also be described as the first nail in the coffin.
Yeah, correct. And that is a bad one.
That's
Massive.
terrible. Go on, you've seen that. What do you raise me? I reckon we got time for a couple more.
I've got one.
Go on.
And this was a whole massive heap of crap.
Wrestle crap?
This is WCW again.
Oh, well, that goes without saying. Okay, what era are we talking?
Hulk Hogan. In WCW.
Is it Hulk Hogan referring to the organisation that's about to take over wrestling as the New World Organisation?
Nope. This was Hulk Hogan when he was having his feud. I think it was the Dungeon of Doom angle, which then escalated into him versus the Giant.
Yes.
I think it was the night that the Giant won the championship, which too soon.
Yeah.
And there was an angle that involved Big Show giving a bear hug to Hulk Hogan to have somebody come down the aisle.
As in, not in a wedding sense, in a down the ramp from backstage to the ring sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who is, I think, just as tall as the Giant at the time, Big Show.
Yeah.
In a mummy outfit.
What?
In like a mummy, like wrapped up mummy, and had the
like the zombie from the relaunched ECW. The Sandman came the crap out of.
No. Far worse. And had the announcers announce him as it's the Yeti!
Hang on.
Oh, good lord.
This is WCW, the serious wrestling company, where the big boys play. And they had someone dressed as a Yeti.
Supposedly, it looked more like a mummy. Have him come down the aisle, get into the ring, and while the Giant is bear hugging,
Hogan. Yeah.
Hogan, proceed to make it look like the Yeti is coming in from behind to add on the bear hug. It didn't look right.
I can believe that.
This is something that has been notorious throughout. That has been mentioned definitely on Botchamania. Most likely guaranteed on WrestleCrap.
Does it exist on the internet in GIF form for everyone to post? Yeah, I figured it would.
Yes.
Because it's not one of the things I actually remember all that well, but thanks, it's now seared across my brain and I'll never unsee it.
Unsee it? Take into account, once you see it, you don't even have to see it, you have to just hear the commentators just shout, "It's the Yeti! The Yeti!" It sticks in your damn head.
Yeah, it is right up there in crap mistakes with ECW Zombie. Definitely.
Oh no, it's
even
bad.
More homoerotic overtones.
That makes it worse. Yeah, as you just said.
Hang on, it gets worse? Oh, good lord.
No, the fact that as he's hugging him, they start shaking about a little bit. It's like, this just looks wrong. Like, this is the one time where I'll sit back and think, for God's sake, will somebody actually think of the damn children?
Well, WCW at the time, no, they emphatically didn't. And I don't think anything was more apparent than this. The one outrage.
They did one angle. They did one thing smart about it.
Yeah.
Do you know what the one thing that was smart about it?
I do not, but please tell me.
That angle ended immediately.
Yes, almost immediately. The Yeti disappeared and was hopefully never seen again.
Well, the wrestler did come back, but he was under a different gimmick. And it makes it even worse.
What?
This is what makes it worse. To build up to the match, right, WCW, early on in the night, had the Giant and Hulk Hogan have a monster truck match.
Oh, yeah, I remember. This was
This was the same night.
Oh, this was the same night. Okay.
You remember what happened at the end of it?
What, didn't one of them essentially kill the other? Or
supposedly. Supposedly. And then, supposedly, so then later on, the Giant turned up alive, who was not dead.
Oh, was this that he got thrown off a building? Or pushed off a building? And yet turned up unscathed less than an hour later.
To win the belt and then have a Yeti come down and...
dry hump him, yes.
Bear hug, we'll say. Bear hug!
Yeah, okay.
Or Yeti hug!
Yes.
Oh,
this was WCW. As you may be aware by now, as quite a lot of the things in this list are from WCW. There's a reason why the company died.
This angle was so bad.
Yeah, I can believe. Do you know the best part is? It probably wouldn't make it into the top 10 worst ideas WCW ever had. That's how bad the company was by the end.
I've got one angle.
Hashtag David Arquette as world champion, anyone?
Oh!
Yeah, that's right. The man who was married to one of the women out of Friends and was therefore the second most famous person in his own house.
Oh.
And who, by the way, begged, literally, to the point of... I don't think he actually got to the point of, I'm not doing this, because I think he wanted to be involved, but essentially begged with management not to have it happen.
You do realise he ended up getting back into the ring later on?
Yes. Oh, by the way, he also won the title in a tag team match in which the champion was not pinned and he did not make the pin.
Yeah.
Which is how far WCW had fallen by that point. But that's another entrant entirely.
Yeah. Oh, I completely forgot about
that. Yes. I'm sorry to say, but you reminded me about the over-friendly Yeti, so I had to return the favour.
Oh, the over-friendly Yeti. And you had to remind me of that one.
Yeah, I did. And my actual next one, because I think we should probably wrap this up soon before we drive each other insane in this contest.
I'll let you...
Spectacular one-downmanship.
We've got to have one more each.
Okay, that's cool. Would you like to go first, or shall I? Because
I'll let you go first.
Okay, my actual finishing one is one of the rare missteps from the original ECW.
Ooh.
Now, I was arguing over whether to go with the mass transit incident.
Oof.
But let's not go there.
No, please. Let's avoid that. Let's avoid that.
For the topic that nearly put Kurt Angle off wrestling for life.
Oh, good lord, no! That's what coming then. As soon as you mentioned ECW, I thought to myself, the only angle I can think of is that one. Oh, good lord.
Yeah, the one that watching Kurt Angle in 1997 saw when maybe this wrestling malarkey's not for me, and didn't think about wrestling again until late 1999.
Oh, this is bad.
Yeah, it involves religious besmirching, religious, what do you call it? Iconography being besmirched, and two of ECW's mainstays in one of the most ill thought out ideas since a WCW official suggested a character that was a thawed out Nazi soldier that thought it was still World War II. It was that bad. In case you're wondering, don't go looking through YouTube for that. That was an idea that quite rightly got the writer booted off the writing team and was never followed through on, because my God, can you imagine it?
Just a bit.
Anyway, I'm of course talking about... Do you know what? After all that build-up, my mind's fried. Was it Raven crucifying the Sandman, or was it the Sandman crucifying Raven?
No, it was Raven crucifying Sandman because he got control of his lad.
His son, yes. All of which the angle was a bit near the knuckle, which is fine. That's what ECW did. But the whole crucifixion angle was from a bit near the knuckle to 15 steps too far in one easy step. And the fact that every party had to come on the next week and issue heartfelt apologies for going too far and crossing the line and offending pretty much everybody, not just religious people, shows you that it was a bit of a misstep.
Yeah, it's bad.
And not even the Sandman can get away with this on the grounds of his perennial excuse. I don't know, I was drunk. Because frankly, that's no excuse for that horror show.
It was just...
It's one of those...
The idea, the angle was good in the sense of it was touching on a bad subject.
Yeah.
It was touching on a subject that could come across as real. Very real. And then they did the whole angle, and it was like... And you saw Kurt Angle take one look at it. Yep, nope, see you later.
Yeah.
And
it was dreadful. And
it's
one of those things where if you were introducing your mate to wrestling and you were like, yeah, here, watch this. This is ECW. This is like adult stuff. This is good. This is not your childish wrestling. Watch this. And then that had happened.
Oh!
Can you imagine the backlash you'd have got? You'd have turned someone off wrestling for life and
be called blasphemy.
Possibly lost a friend.
Possibly. And then take into account, it was that bad, they got Raven to come out and issue an apology?
Yes. Completely out of character.
Oops.
Yeah. Anyway, it was dreadful. And let's gloss over it, because I don't think I can plumb any further depths than that. I think that's pretty much as low as I can go. So, to wrap things up, precisely how low can you go to follow that?
Oh, believe me. Mine's got to go up before it comes down.
Really? I don't like the sound of that.
This is
Val Venus.
Oh no,
but that gets a dishonourable mention. We haven't got time for it now, but if we ever do a part 2 to this, that'll definitely. Yeah,
it's definitely going.
Does it involve Davey Boy Smith being rock bottomed onto a pile of dog shit?
No,
I believe it was rock bottomed. Might have just been slammed anyway. No,
doesn't matter. No.
Does it involve...
I've got five angles right now in my head, and for my own sanity, I am not picking the worst one.
Really? So it's not the Survivor Series match that featured Doink the Clown and 4 mini wrestlers in mini Doink outfits.
That wasn't that bad.
Well, compared to all the things we've been talking about, no, it seems surprisingly tame now.
Compared to one of the angles that led to one of the worst matches I've ever seen.
Was it when they got a celebrity guest host on Raw?
Right. The
guy that presents The Price is Right, and Chris Jericho came out
with
his name sticker stuck to his bare chest.
No. Was Lamb put out your misery? I'm not doing the worst one.
I'm mentioning guessing moderately stupid shit all night. So yeah, hit me with the absolute doozy because
this one is from WCW again.
Surprise.
This is a Vince Russo booking.
No surprise whatsoever.
This was the feud that was between the franchise, Shane Douglas, versus Billy Kidman, I think.
Really? I'm quite amazed, I've got to be honest, that I don't think I remember this. Because the words fat chick thriller didn't gallop over the horizon as I expected them to.
That wasn't Shane Douglas. That
No, that was Mike Awesome. Dishonourable mention for that. We'll get into that if we ever do a part 2.
Yes,
to this,
we will.
Go on.
Sorry, we've got to do a part 2. That's going to be happening.
Come on, I've already mentioned about 3 or 4 that we haven't got time to go into now. But yeah, we've absolutely got to do a part 2. Go on. Shane Douglas and
Billy Kidman. Shane Douglas with Tori Wilson in his corner, and this was a Viagra on a pole match.
Not a coal miner's glove on a pole match. Which
no.
Is a whole other barrel of shit.
No. This was a match that is notorious, that people have stated as the worst match on a pole, worst match ever, one of the top worst WCW on a pole matches, blah blah blah.
Yeah, and that's going some. They've got form. Yeah, wow. Really,
Viagra on a pole match.
Yeah.
Contract on a pole matches can be tough. Weapon on a pole match can...
glove matches on a pole are misguided but interesting attempts to make the weapon on a pole stipulation a bit different.
It made it a bit different.
Yeah.
But Viagra?
I can't believe... We're going to wrap this up in a minute because there's not a lot we can say about that, really.
What makes it...
I could make limitless jokes about it.
I'm sorry,
the competition was very stiff that night, but let's not
go. For God's sake. What makes it so bad with this is the fact that technically on a pole match, the idea being is whoever gets the weapon is able to use it
in the match.
Opponents? What the hell?
All I can say is if Joey Ryan is listening to this, don't get any bloody ideas.
I mean, what the hell is it? What is he? Is he meant to? Is he meant to get up and get the Viagra, force feed it into Shane Douglas?
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Seriously, don't give Joey Ryan any ideas.
Right? Or is he going to eat it himself and somehow use the effect himself? What the hell?
Yeah, it doesn't bear thinking about. It really doesn't.
Right? And it's just like, it just brings a lot of questions, because it's like, what are you trying to say? That someone's impotent? The person who's winning the match is impotent? What the hell?
Yeah. Fighting over Viagra, possibly the only thing less likely to make someone care than a Japanese shampoo commercial.
Yeah, correct. And what makes it worse is the fact that this all starts from the angle because of the whole Tori Wilson as going from Kidman to being linked to the franchise Shane Douglas and everything. But what the good Lord! And believe me,
terrible.
What makes it worse is it's not the damn worst one. It's not one of
No.
the worst ones.
We're going
that
to
we've
have
come
to
across.
wrap this up, and we're definitely going to have to do a part 2, though, because we've got all the way through a broadcast about the worst angles in wrestling ever, and we've not mentioned in the slightest either Kennel from Hell or the Gobbledygooker.
Good Lord, yeah. You just
So
named.
we're
You just
definitely gonna
named
have
the.
to do
You
a
just
part two
named the
to this.
one I wanted to damn well avoid.
The Kennel from Hell?
Ugh.
Well, we're going to have to cover that in part 2.
We'll have to
for
cover
now,
that on
but
another episode. But let's just say
luckily
this.
You get to dodge it for tonight.
I get to dodge it for tonight, but trust me when I say this, when that one comes, when we actually do a part 2, and I guarantee that will be the first one I throw out.
Yeah, fire out of a cannon into the sun, hopefully. But
Pretty much,
yes,
because
that's
that
fair enough.
is my all-time, one of my worst Hell in a Cell feud matches. It's that bad. I don't even classify it as part of the Hell in a Cell series matches.
I don't
ever.
think WWE officially do either.
It was an atrocity.
Just like I don't think they classify the Extreme Elimination Chamber as one of the official Elimination Chamber matches either.
What the hell? It's
Oh, and don't even
More
get me started on the pay-per-view that was the headline match of. That whole thing will go in part 2.
no, the whole event will go in part 2.
Yeah, the whole event is going in, not just the match.
Pretty much. But yes, this has been a more. But anyway, we'll end this week's episode on that bombshell, most likely.
Oh,
But
or
anyway,
just quickly by saying, anyone wants to get in touch on all the usual social media for The Burning Truth to suggest if you come up with an idea that we've genuinely forgotten that you think merits a mention, and we see it and we're like, oh my god, how did I forget that pile of turd? We'll probably add that into part 2.
most likely. But anyway, we digress in regards to this. But anyway,
That
ladies
was
and
a
gentlemen,
fun, if slightly disheartening trawl through the worst of Wrestle Crap.
Pretty much. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, all I'm just going to do is I'm just going to do some massive shout-outs, because instead of the usual massive plugs that I've normally done, I'm just going to be mentioning some of the few plugs that we normally cover, which is I'm just going to be covering, of course, UK Wrestling Alliance, because yes, I am biased, and yes, I'm one of the owners, of course. Please
And
check
I
out.
am the lead commentator, so there's a bias across the whole podcast. It's not just him.
Correct. We recommend you check out Manchester Pro Wrestling Academy if you want to learn to wrestle and everything, especially with beginner classes happening on a Monday, £10 per class, 7 p.m. till 9 p.m. For location details, please check out on their social media. We of course check out JG Printing and Stitching and JFX3D because they do custom made belts as well. And we also
Speaking
recommend
of which,
what?
sorry, just aside there, are they the ones responsible for my fellow commentator's latest little project?
Potentially, yes.
Right, because I might have to get in touch with them and get my own done at this rate.
Pretty much. But anyway, we also...
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Carry on.
No worries. We also recommend you check out our, charities. For case in point, Mind Changes for Health and Wellbeing and Messy for Mind, because all three of them do massive charity work and do a lot of work with making sure your mental state is in a good place, and always remind you to check on your mental health well-being.
Yeah. And of course, if it's not in a good place, they're the best people to talk to try and bring it back.
Correct. We, of course, always recommend you check out the lighter side of wrestling, especially with this episode.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
So we've got to do our usual massive shout-outs to, of course, Botchamania, and, of course, WrestleCrap, and, of course, OSW Review. You're welcome, Matthew.
You're welcome, R.D. Reynolds.
And, of course, the guys from OSW Review.
Indeed.
It's always good looking at the light side of wrestling, but yes, that is some massive topics that we've had to cover. I of course always mention check out some YouTube channels, but I'll just mention the usual one, which is of course First We Feast, especially the Hot One series. We recommend you check out fellow podcasters, Geek of the Week, especially with all things nerdy, all things geeky, especially DC and Marvel, with the host Magic Mark Adams. We of course
can't recommend highly enough.
Exactly, an amazing gentleman, amazing host, all round great guy. Of course, I recommend everybody check out We the Independent, especially especially with some of the interviews that they've been doing. Absolutely amazing. Highly recommend it. And of
Fun
course,
fact, fans, I only got the gig as UKWA commentator because Matt Burns couldn't afford Magic Mark Adams. Sad but true.
what?
Also a joke. Don't worry. That was a joke.
That went over my head.
I said I only got the gig as the UKWA commentator because you couldn't afford Magic Mark.
I can't afford.
I was joking.
Don't give me ideas.
Ah, crap! I've just said my own P45.
No, but anyway, we recommend you check out Fallow podcast, Train Pop Culture, which is on the application Podbean. I believe they've just recently done their third episode, which was part of a two-parter. The second and third episode were two-parters, so recommend you check that out. And of course, we recommend you check out Kayfabe Music UK, especially as you may as we the intro for us that we've got.
That's one of theirs.
That's one of theirs, and I can honestly state, amazing. They're absolutely amazing, and you'll get to hear that song at the end of this episode, which is absolutely fantastic.
Is good, yeah.
Of course, we recommend
pretty much done.
Almost done. We of course recommend you check out Turnbuckle TV, especially with the fact that their website is just updated and they've got more than 30 companies on there. The content is overloaded. And
yours
you
for
can
just $3.99 a month. That's less than £1 a week.
What more can you say? Of course, we always recommend you check out your local wrestling shows. Just case in the point of United Wrestling, Academy Pro Wrestling, FCW, Fusion Pro Wrestling for You, UKWA. I just thought I'd throw that one in there. Of course, Future Shock, Falling Star, and any others I've missed?
I'm just thinking PCW, ICW, GPW, and a whole alphabet soup of others from most of the country.
Pretty much.
And of course, don't forget, if you want to find your nearest local wrestling promotion so that you can support them, there is a new, brilliant, and free way you can do it. And I could repeat that, free.
It's that good. The fact that, it's that good, you have to say it twice. Babyface Wrestling UK. I'll check that again. Babyface Wrestling UK. That is the app that is on iPhones and Android and all mobile devices as much as you can, unless it's an old mobile device. But
I missed the chance to do a very good joke there. It is free, and I'll repeat that.
I see what you did there. But anyway, let's just state Babyface Wrestling UK, amazing app, great app, and not only can you follow your wrestling companies, you can also follow the wrestlers that you are massive fans of and see where they are wrestling locally as well.
Which is fantastic, and as we can't mention enough, it's completely free, which in this day and age is a rare and wonderful thing.
Correct. And of course, we recommend everybody check out the Burning Truth website, which is www.theburningtruthuk.com. And we've got all the links and everything, but you know what's on the website. We've covered it before. Yeah. And of course, we recommend you check out our social media, which is Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and of course Twitter. Which the Twitter handle is different, which is spelled WRESLING for THWALL. Of course, we have some past episodes of The Burning Truth on Spotify, hopefully getting some new ones up there soon. And that is a wrap up for this week.
And I have a couple of recommendations as well.
What?
Just for 1 week. On the podcast front, of course, Scroobius Pip's Distraction Pieces podcast this week, featuring a myriad of special guests, but always with someone that you know who has something relevant to say. Recently had Matt Richards, the Progress Wrestling commentator, on there. Speaking of Progress, I'd also like to recommend I'm Sorry, I Love You, A History of Professional Wrestling, the book, written by the comedian and one of the founders of Progress, Jim Smallman, which I bought and read in one sitting because it was immense.
Amazing.
Yep. And that's pretty much it.
That's when you've got a good book. Definitely.
Absolutely.
But anyway,
read it. Oh, I finished it. Oh. I'm a bit disappointed because I finished it, but I'm very happy.
I can't wait for the second one. Basically, is what you're saying. It's that good. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's a wrap up for this week. And of course, we always recommend you check out your local wrestling. But as from now on, we'll also state, please make sure to take care of yourself and make sure you're in a good place, not just physically, but also mentally.
Absolutely.
Until then, we will catch you next week. And so stay well and stay safe.
Thanks for listening, and good night.
Catch you laters.